welcome to Live Your Childhood Dream. I am delighted to have my special guest here, who is Adriana Jurczyk Duarte. Adriana is a fount of creativity and wonderful ideas. She is the founder of Moonluza, which is a for tourism and travel, and that's based in Portugal. And I recently met Adriana for the first time at her wonderful storytelling conference, storytelling seminar and fairy tale conference, and which was an incredible experience. She's also an author, and as I say, much creativity. So welcome, Adriana. I'm so delighted that you agreed to be part of this.
Thank you very much, Ruth. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And I think maybe I'll start with asking you a little bit about your company, Moonluza, because it's got I know storytelling is very dear to your heart, the same as me.
Yes, it is. And actually, Moonluza, I think it's my own fairy tale. Yes, well, I'm Polish and I have been living in Portugal for the past nearly 14 years. So it's quite a long time. And I think ever since I came to Portugal, I came here because of love of my life. My husband is Portuguese. So when I came here, I think although I love Portugal and it's a beautiful country, I couldn't really find my place, you know. I think once you move abroad, you actually have to create and build your own identity from beginning. And I worked for the Polish embassy in Lisbon, so I had kind of safe haven here in Portugal because I was working for Poland, living in Portugal. So it seemed perfect, but it was really not. I couldn't find my own place. I missed Poland a lot, you know, and every time we would go for holidays I'm from southern Poland, so it's beautiful mountains, beautiful forests, and every time I was there, I thought, well, this is the place I love, I want to be here. But then I also love the place where I live in Portugal. And I think after my little daughter was born, I started writing a fairy tale. It was kind of my evening escapes and my evening journeys to Poland, to my childhood region. And the story started actually during one holidays that we spent in Poland in winter. And my husband discovered a beautiful place on the top of the mountains, you know, covered by snow. And from the top of the mountains, we could see a beautiful village with a small church that was actually playing a Christmas carol. And it was just so beautiful setting that when I came home, I started writing, you know, about a little dwarf that was sitting in the same place, you know, admiring the same view that we did. And from there on, I created, you know, I wrote a fairy tale that is based in a legend that my grandfather told me when I was small. But then it made link to Sintra and to Portugal, something that is my home at the moment. And I think writing this fairy tale became my own fairy tale therapy. It became my own process of dealing with my, you know, missing feeling, with nostalgia, and through putting all the elements that I love, including Celtic elements and dances, which are present in the book as well. I think I found actually, I did my own healing, maybe, you know, because I think I found my own place, you know, which was not yet created. But from there on, I started doing more research as well on fairy tale therapy and storytelling. And although I'm not a storyteller, I just experienced the fairy tale therapy on myself. So from there on, I had the idea of the seminar. But to do the seminar, I needed to create as well something, you know, like even in legal terms, you know, an entity, an institution that would do that. And that was Moonluza. Moonluza is actually, you know, combining all my passions, and it's actually my own place here in Portugal, being a foreigner. All my interests are there, you know, but yet linking as well to the place where I live. And Moonluza, as you said, it's a cultural tourism company. But actually what I do is creating projects that combine a bit of culture, tourism, but also educations, because there are some events which include workshops or a seminar like this one. It's as well, it's connecting a little bit of literature, therapies, tourism as well. It's always present there, so yeah, so this is actually my own place here.
Oh, that's so wonderful, and I love hearing the story of how it all came together. You have this incredible way of, as you say, bringing the storytelling and the fairy tales and the therapy, and also what you were looking for yourself, finding that place when we bring sort of two cultures together. And you're talking about Sintra, and for those out there who haven't been to Sintra, go. I think it's probably what you say.
Definitely. Definitely go.
It's the most beautiful, literally a fairy tale city, isn't it? And UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'm just to give the viewers a little bit of a background. So I visited your fairy tale and storytelling therapy seminar, which was back in March this year. Which was the second one you've done.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And this was a really incredible experience in this very, very beautiful small town, which has multiple castles and magic and
stories.
Exactly.
And legends.
many stories. And I think what you created there is this sort of seminar with people coming from all over the world. It really was, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was incredible because, for the first time we had participants coming from as far as Australia or Canada or South Korea. So yes, it was really amazing.
Oh no, it's just incredible. I think for me, one of the big things of that was with all the cultures, bringing all those cultures together, all those languages. There was a time right at I think, nearing the end of the week where we were invited, each of us, to say once upon a time in our own language, our mother tongue. And I think that was just an incredible experience. And I think it's a real kind of credit to you that you've created this.
I never expected that it would, be received this way, worldwide, because it was a very dear project for me. And when I created it, I just knew that I have to do something like that. At the beginning with the first one, I think when I started creating, I didn't really know where it was leading, but I just knew that I had to do it. And it's just amazing because I think at certain moment I also gave myself to what will come, how it will go. And this was really, I think, what I loved as well about it, that for me, those people who were there were not just amazing people and amazing participants, but each of them brought a story as well, story of their lives. Some people even shared those stories with us, or stories or legends that were told to them, in their childhood from different regions. And I think this meeting of cultures, this intercultural meeting, it's precisely something that I love, because I think that's the place where I find myself here. I don't belong to Portugal, but I don't belong to Poland anymore, So I think I find myself precisely in between all these cultures. When they all meet, there is always some, meeting point for all of them.
Yeah.
And that's really wonderful.
That is incredible. And I think you brought together people who are from many different cultures. And I certainly, the more participants I spoke to, so many people had travelled a lot, had come from many, many different cultures, felt themselves as sort of, and maybe that's the nature of being a storyteller, maybe that's the nature of being a creative. That's sort of on the boundaries of places. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, that's very well put.
That sort of magical place where you're always looking for that sort of where do we fit in, so we create something new.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I believe so. And I think when I was, when I designed the project, I had no doubt that it had to be in Sintra, because Sintra is as well a very special place. And as I said during my opening speech, is that Sintra is not just a setting. Sintra is participant of the seminar, because Sintra is present there all the time with this amazing view. I had once one participant say that when she looks, outside the window for this beautiful valley of Sintra, she says, I can nearly see some of the characters from some of the tales, And yeah, Sintra, it has a very strong microclimate, so it makes it as well very different from all other parts of Europe. And then precisely the joining of so many castles, palaces, and these manor houses lost in the woods, and the stories behind, and very international stories, because many foreigners fell in love with Sintra, not just you this year.
You can see me in a dream thinking of Sintra.
And there is something that I relate to a lot. Hans Christian Andersen visited Portugal in 1866. And he wrote a diary. Like he had a quite big travel literature. Well, he did 29 or 30 visits during his life. So, yes, he loved it. And actually, I have a project based on the diary, which is Hans Christian Andersen tour in Portugal, which is discovering Portugal through his eyes, like as kind of he would be our guide. But when he came to Sintra, he spent 2 weeks in Sintra. He said that every foreigner finds in Sintra a bit of his homeland. And that's very true. Whenever I feel homesick or I miss Poland, I just go to Sintra, and somehow you really find, I can find Polish beautiful autumn there.
Yes.
I can feel the air, of Polish winter. So it's really incredible, and I think he was very right about it.
I think he, absolutely, very, very, very wise, and yes, no, definitely. And I love the fact that you also do a tour using his diaries.
Yes.
Beautiful thing. I feel like we may be interviewing Sintra, the spirit of Sintra, at the same time here.
Probably, because I'm completely in love with Sintra, so I think it's hard to hide it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's wonderful. It really is. Oh gosh. So I mean, you were talking a little bit about your ideas from childhood and how this is sort of you sort of influenced your creativity now as an adult. What I talk about within Live Your Childhood Dream is all about our sort of inner child who has always had our gifts and our creativity.
Yes.
Almost like tugging at our sleeves and saying, come on, play, come on, make something. And I just wanted to hear a little bit more about what you loved to do as a child, and what was your loves, really?
Well, I grew up in a beautiful village in Poland, so I was always surrounded by nature. I had forests and mountains, and and I really loved it. And I think I really, when I was small, I remember sometimes in the evenings imagining myself in the forest at night. Somehow I was imagining myself in a kind of a protecting bubble, because I was a bit scared of spiders and some animals, So I was imagining myself there in the middle of the night, but protected really. So, nothing would bite me or attack me. And that I could actually see what's going on in the forest at night. Meaning I had this image, this fairy tale image of all the animals, coming out, they don't need to hide anymore because, there are no humans, so they can just feel and walk freely through the forest. And this was so magical for me. I love forests, I think I can just recharge my energies completely when I'm in the forest. I just love it, and I love just walking in a forest, and I just love the smell. And there in Poland we have a lot of pisias, like this kind of Christmas tree. So when there are parts of the forest, when they are very dense, when they are very close to each other, it gives you an amazing and very cozy feeling, and very silent feeling. You really feel very protected, and you really feel very, very good. You really feel like you are in a very safe place. And I think that's how I find, and I have always found, forests. And since I was small, I loved hearing legends. I think I was just, as soon as somebody would read to me or tell me a legend, I would just, it would start living in my head. So I think all this probably, I think when you are between 30 and 40, it's a perfect age when you start realizing what you really want. And I think you start following your dreams, and you are starting to realize that it's now or never. Not exactly, I think, but it's a good time to start something, or to go for something. And I think, there are many things that were gathered there, because before I had a very, office work, everything was just so very, very, kind of following the protocol, dress codes, and many of these things. I love the job. I really learned a lot with it. But at the same time, I think I missed this creative part. And now I think it just started exploding.
Absolutely. Oh no, that's beautiful. And I love how, again, it's this connection. I mean, the forest, I also identify with the forest. Forests are just an incredible, safe, safe, magical place. And in fact, one of the things I had, and you answered my question, I was through the park today, and I was told, okay, one of the questions I'm to ask Adriana is, what is your favourite tree?
Oh, my favourite tree, yes. Well, actually, I love trees in general, I just love trees. But yes, there is something special about the Christmas tree, so-called. It's the pisia,
Yes.
Smell of it. But actually, I just love trees. Well, there is one tree that I don't like.
Now that is revealing.
Well, actually, I'm not that fond of a palm tree.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I love trees that change, during the year. Okay, the Christmas tree may not change precisely, but it also loses the needles, and there in Poland it's covered with snow. And palm tree, for me, it's just, I don't know, it's a bit soulless for me. I don't know, it's just that.
I know it's a random question, but I was like, okay, well, I will ask you the question. But I think it shows the nature of change, doesn't it? The nature of these sort of cycles. And I know that you have you're very interested in the sort of the Celtic stories and the Celtic sort of spirituality, that sort of thing.
Yes.
So,
and dance.
And dance, exactly. Yes, we haven't spoken about dance yet. So I understand that how Moonluza began was you love Scottish dancing, and you decided to do a Scottish dance conference, which I think is just an incredible way to start a business. So tell me a little bit more about this.
Yes, well, actually, the first event I organized was precisely a Scottish country dancing workshop in Portugal. Well, when I was in Poland, I always loved everything that was, connected to Celtic culture. And when I was at the university, I found a group of a Polish-Irish society, like a friendship society, and they had Irish dancing. And I started Irish dancing during the university, and I absolutely loved it. Then when I did my Erasmus in Belgium, I also joined a group so I could continue. But when I moved to Portugal, by that time, there was no Irish dancing group yet. So somehow, I still don't know how it happened. I must have written down somewhere. But once, I think I was checking my wallet, and I had there a small paper with an email written down, and with an information, Scottish country dancing classes. So I contacted them, and I started with a group, a Lisbon group. It was quite few years ago. I think it was like, what, 11 years ago when I started here with the Scottish country dancing. And I really loved it. I love the social part of it. I love the fact that when I go to a class, I just disconnect, you know, because you have to focus so much on the steps and music that I just disconnect. And the fact, you know, that it's a bit mathematical as well, because you follow, you know, the steps, the structures, and you have the sets, and everything has to go fine, so it just works. But it's beautiful because, you know, it's for everybody. And well, I just loved it, you know, and I continued. I had a small break when my daughter was born, but then I joined the international branch of Scottish country dancing, and I went for some weekends abroad. I went for 1 weekend in Ireland, which is connecting, you know, finally visiting Ireland, and at the same time doing Scottish country dancing. And although there are some Scottish country dancing weekends for Iberian Peninsula, it's more for the groups from here. There were no international workshops here. Although they are, you know, happening everywhere, all around the world, there were none here in Portugal. So I thought, well, you know, I love it, and why not? And I contacted first the musicians, and when I had it all settled, it was really my first project that actually happened here in Portugal. It was in December 2014 at the sunny coast of Portugal, and it was a gathering of international dancers, you know, of Scottish country dancing. They all gathered in Portugal. Last year was the second, and this year we're going to have the third one in December. It's always December weekend in Portugal.
Okay. Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yes.
And that was the beginning of Moonluza.
Yes, yes. But actually, referring still to the name itself, because I didn't explain you how the name really, you know, how it, yes. So Moonluza, actually, it's also, it has in it all the cultures that I love. Because on one part you have moon. Sintra is called the mountain of the moon, Monte de Lua. So I knew that it has to be connected to Sintra, because, you know, it's the place where I think I really find myself. And the part of moon is precisely of the Monte de Lua, of the mountain of the moon. Lusa means the Portuguese tribe of Lusitanos. But in Portugal, it's written with S, Lusa, Lusitania. It's a different way of saying Portuguese. But written by Z, it's the Polish influence. So, you know, all these elements create Moonluza, and the logotype has this kind of Arabic Celtic moon in it, which is as well very reflecting Sintra and its character.
Oh, it's wonderful. So you have all the cultures and all the elements in your logo and in the name. I think
yes.
It's so creative and so beautifully brought together, really.
Thank you very much. Yes, but I think once you go and you want to follow something and follow your path, it really has to be yours. So I think that even the smallest elements, they all have to combine, and you have to feel them, because, you know, no matter what project I create, there are some which are just my own passions, but I also have this touristic part, you know, when I have groups that may come and want to do their own program, you know, I then create the program with them. But even in that program, I always put a bit more than just creating a program. I like to put, you know, their soul in it, so they also feel it. So when they come here, they're just, because I hate this massive tourism when you just go and follow, and then you end up by not seeing anything, nor feeling the place, nor discovering it properly. So I like to put elements when people can really be on their own with Portugal, with some places when they can really feel it and they can really see it.
I think you really do that, and I felt going to the Fairytale seminar that I felt less like a tourist, less like a student, but almost just living there, as if I lived there for a week.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I think I left and I was like, I think I've been a tourist, but I kind of forgot it until I got to, you know, when I
Yeah.
I went to Lisbon for a few days after
Mhm. Yeah.
and suddenly I felt like the tourist as I went round the different places, which is lovely. But yeah, the experience I had with you, with in Sintra, with Moonluza, with the fairy tale seminar, the conference, was purely like being brought to live there for a week.
That's wonderful.
So thank you so much.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you for these words, because you know it just gives more wings. And yes, it makes me, you know, it makes me want to do it even more and better, you know, because it's really wonderful, and I like to see it in people's faces. I like to see that they, you know, that they come to Portugal, but then they go back with something more than just a visit. You know, it stays there, and it just, you know, it marks them in some way.
Absolutely.
And that's really wonderful.
Absolutely. And I think you are an amazing example of following, I don't know if you call it a hunch or an intuition or just an idea, a creative idea, and just flowing with it. You were saying about the exam. I mean, I interview many people, and know many people in a sort of who are creative, who have created these beautiful places, and it always seems to start with something which seems to be the most simplest thing in the world. For example, as you say, you find a card with Scottish dancing,
Yes.
and you just go, do it, or
Yes.
yeah, I don't know, do you see that as sort of an intuition, or how do you see these things?
Yeah, I think yeah, you go with the feeling. Yeah, I think you can call it really intuition, or just following when you feel that you're at peace with yourself, you know, when you do something and you feel that it's just the right thing to do. It's really your path, you know, in a way that, because then suddenly the projects, I even wrote it on the website, that the project starts with a small seed. Sometimes it's a thematic seed, you know. Sometimes it starts with a place that I visit, sometimes with a story that I read, like was the case of Hans Christian Andersen tour, sometimes with some passion of mine, like the Scottish country dancing, and then around it I start creating or building the whole project. Sometimes I notice when I try to force it, it just doesn't work. I just have to, you know, let it go. I just have to let it kind of come to me as well, you know. And then when I have a moment, when I feel, you know, I have some idea, I always have a small notebook with me, and I just write down some ideas. I had it as well with my book. I had sometimes some chapters that I dreamed with, and in the morning I had to write them down. And sometimes here it happens, I see something or I read something, and then I start thinking, wow, that's really amazing. I have now this with Lord Byron. I'm researching more about his visit to Portugal. I'm discovering some newspapers when, you know, some information appeared. So then comes as well a lot of research, which gives me a little bigger, you know, approach to the theme and to the project. And then I start putting myself to the logistic, which is a part that I enjoy as well. I'm quite organized, and I like these little details of logistics and organization. It's stressful, but I like to do it as well. So from the creative part, then I go to the more, you know, more these things that you just have to prepare because they have to be working so that the whole event is working as well, you know. So I follow this feeling, this intuition, you know, following something that just pushes you in some directions.
So this push and this feed, and I love the idea you're talking about your path and the seed. I guess the seed which just grows and
yes,
and not pushing it. I think that's a really really
because when I there are days when I start creating something, and then there is a moment when I don't know, but then I still force myself to write a bit more, but I already know that that's not the way. I just have to let it go and wait, you know. As well, I learned that patience is very crucial. When you start something, you have to give time for it to grow. and it's like it's my child in a way as well, so I have to let it start walking, feeling more independent. So I know that I just have to give time sometimes, even time to time, which sometimes is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's thank you. That's such wise words.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, because I think the conference or the seminar, no, not workshop, I'll think of the word in a moment. You're working on a retreat, so you're working on, I know you're working on a yoga retreat, is
Yes.
that right at the moment? So
Yes.
perhaps you could tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, well, since I started Moonluza, curiously, actually, I started also yoga classes. I started doing yoga, Before I never had time because I had work from, 9 till 6, then I had a small child, so I never had properly time to do that. But I wanted already for quite many years. So since I work, I organize and I manage my own time. So I decided that now I will really give this time to me as well. So in the morning, I practice yoga. I practice both Hatha yoga and Ashtanga yoga, which I absolutely love. I just really got myself a lot in Ashtanga yoga. And then because I really like it, but I'm not obsessed with it, because sometimes there are many retreats when there are just people from the yoga world and they meet and they just want to go deeper, which is fantastic as well, but it's really for many people who already have some experience. This retreat, we designed it with a very good friend of mine. She's a yoga teacher, and she actually put me the yoga bag. she took me for some classes in a park, and it just got there. I knew I wanted to continue. So we wanted to do a retreat together, where I will be doing more the part of the pulling it together and organizing, and she's the one who is teaching. And this year, for the first time, we're introducing storytelling evenings. For our yoga retreat. Yes, we are going to have one next month in June. It's usually a weekend retreat. We always look for a place that would not be a typical place of retreats, but also somebody else's dream. So we found a beautiful, like this kind of local tourism in a beautiful region of Portugal, which is Alentejo, which is surrounded by fields and olive trees and goats and sheep, and it's just beautiful place just to recharge the energy. And the retreat is really for everyone, no matter whether you practiced before, you didn't, you know what's yoga, you don't know, because we combine yoga with some meditation as well, with walks, with storytelling evenings. So it's kind of retreat that we design with our own interests as well. Yeah, and we had the first one happened last year in November, and it was precisely the weekend when autumn changed to winter. So it was like kind of, you can't plan it better, but it just happened, that when we arrived with nice weather. It was still quite warm, and from one night to the other it changed into winter. It was cold, and so it was really nice because we had a beautiful space, a wooden house in the middle of some pine woods. So it was just really nice. I think we all, recharged our batteries. And now we are doing this one in June, and then we'll probably repeat the autumn one.
Oh, that sounds lovely. That's so beautiful. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, because again, all your different events, you just have these little seeds, the things you're interested in, passions, and I know that you have recently had a one on the tiles, and also on fado music, which am I pronouncing it right?
Yes, well, I'm trying to include fado in quite many events, because fado is something very Portuguese. And we had it during our seminar, this evening of fado music. This was a bit different because it was designed for the theme of the seminar, because Katia, the fantastic singer, she actually prepared the songs for our seminar. So she did research on Sintra legends, and she told them with fado music so that you could, feel a little bit more the space itself. But yeah, I like to include many, but I try to look for genuine elements that I can include in projects that can really let people discover and experience Portugal. So yeah, like for example, I have the azulejo tile. It's typically Portuguese, and you find tiles everywhere, over houses, inside, as bases, just everywhere. You have clothes with the pattern of azulejo tile. So I have a friend. She's Scottish. She's been living here for many years. She's an artist. And for one of the Scottish country dancing workshops, she created azulejo tiles with Scottish country dancing figures on it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so bringing the two cultures together.
Yes. So yeah, I try to look for these possibilities when cultures can meet, when you always have something typical from here, but sometimes it's as well, it's kind of meeting of these two cultures. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds lovely. And do you have one coming up, or was it last year you had that?
I had this last year, but sometimes among the projects that I offer, there are so-called cultural study trips to Portugal. It can be institutional because I'm I'm also a translator between Polish and Portuguese, and I can do non-official translation between English and Portuguese if needed. And last year I had a group from Lithuania, from a senior university, and they came on study trip, which had quite many cultural elements, quite many places that we visited, but outside of this kind of urban and touristic centers. Yeah. We went to some places where you can see amazing collection of azulejo, but it's not that explored by tourists. And it was combined with institutional meetings at universities, senior universities in Portugal. They ended up by signing a protocol of cooperation, which I'm very proud of because, Moonluza was kind of matchmaker there.
Yes.
So but usually this study trips or cultural trips, the programs are designed as well according to preferences of the group. So the program, we work on it together. I send my suggestions, but then we adjust them as well to group's preferences. For example, if the group wants to visit Fatima, in this case, for example, they wanted as well to have a tour to Fatima. So we just include it in a program. So the program can always include, for example, tile workshop or a fado concert. It depends really on the group and their interests in a way.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're bringing everything together, and I think this is one of your real gifts is you listen to each group and each individual. Actually, incredible. You have these amazing gifts of just kind of picking up the loves and the passions of each person even before you realise them yourself, I think. So I think that's so beautiful. Well, I think we probably need to sort of start finishing off.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's just been so wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I'd like to, so if people would like to get in touch with you, find out more about Moonluza.
Yes.
It's going to be all the W's, Moonluza, and is it .pt?
Yes.
So it's www.moonluza.pt.
Moonluza with Z.
With a Z, yes. A Z for the Americans, a Z for the UK.
Yeah. And then there is the option of choosing English language. Because it's in English, Portuguese, and Polish. But you're most welcome to visit. And I also have an atelier when it's an invitation for creating a project with me, with Moonluza. If somebody just has a dream idea of doing in Portugal, we can just work on it together as well.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. So you're creating dreams all the time, I think.
I try to, yes.
It's just so beautiful. And of course, I mean, just to, another thing about the storytelling conference. So the next storytelling seminar, I'm going to say it again. So it's the International Seminar for fairy tale and storytelling
therapy. Yes.
Helpful, but yeah. And that's going to be in April next year?
Yes, from 4 till 8th of April. Yeah. And of course in Sintra.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Adriana, thank you so much for being on the programme today.
Thank you very much, Ruth. It was great pleasure.
Thank you. And it's just so fun, and I look forward to seeing all the other things you create and visiting Sintra and coming and see you again very, very soon.
It'll be great to see you again.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Bye.